Thank you for staying with us. The Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical Company, the largest single-train refinery in the world, located in Lagos, Nigeria, commenced production in the early hours of Friday. The refinery received the fifth crude oil shipment of 1 million barrels of Bonny Light supplied by the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Limited. Although the 650,000 barrels per day oil processing facility was initially scheduled to begin operation in June 2023, it is now expected to meet 100% of Nigeria's requirement of oil refined products, including gasoline, diesel, kerosene, and aviation jet. Joining us in the studio is the team lead of Platforms Africa, Adiola Yusuf. Good morning. It's good to have you join us this morning. And congratulations, you've been talking about this Dangote matter. It's eventually here now. And we see that aviation fuel is said to be the first product that they are going to be dealing with. First of all, on the papers this morning, we saw about 7 marketers have said to have gotten approval of some sort to also get the products out of there. But talk to us how this will change the dynamics of what we have witnessed in the country for some time now with regards to we now having a refinery, though private, refining and this crude in the country.
Okay, thank you so much. First of all, it's a good thing that the Dangote Refinery is happening in the lifetime of, majority of Nigerians. That does 2 things. Number one, it has given the belief back to Nigeria. It has restored the belief to Nigerians that things can be done in Nigeria by Nigerians. Before now, there is that, popular saying that, nothing can be produced in Nigeria, even toothpick. But now, the largest singular unit refinery in the world is, operational in the country. That is number one. Then number two, it is going to bring back to the consciousness of Nigerians, that, the refineries we have in Nigeria by the Nigerian government, two, people will start asking questions. If one man can do this, so why won't the government, So it is going to bring back, it's going to restore, the consciousness, back to the consciousness of Nigeria, that things should be done, things can be done in Nigeria. So that's number one. Number two, we will know, we have said it several times, just like you alluded to it earlier in your introductory remark, that, the Dangote Refinery, the Nigerian government has 20%. Even though it is a private entity, Nigerian government has 20%. So, by the virtue of, sitting on the board of Dangote Refinery and Petrochemical, you will see that Nigeria, through the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, we have a representative. So it's a good thing, and it's going to help because now we are having the jet fuel and diesel being produced, and the reason for that, for some of us that understand the, the technicality of it is that will be the first line of production. If you want to get petrol, you are going to do more of the refining of those, byproduct, after getting the diesel and all that before you get to petrol. So, head and tail is a very good thing that is happening in the country.
Well, that's, let's say it's a shame to those who have despaired that Nigeria will not be able to, or Dangote himself may not be able to bring it up. But then it's also one question on people's lips that now that Dangote Refinery, has now been jolted, to life, is that going to bring, because that's a question on everybody's lips, is that going to bring, slash the price of petrol?
Okay, thank you so much. Before talking about that, because I know that has been agitating the minds of everyone, let me quickly make a remark on the shame on those that, you will, we have said it here, the origin of the Dangote Refinery. I was privileged, to be a part of a team that visited the refinery when they are doing the groundbreaking. And the question I particularly put to Alhaji Aliko Dangote was that, what was that motivation? And he said it, that the reason he started that refinery was that he had that decision in his bedroom. Remember that, at the tail end of former President Olusegun Obasanjo, he sold off the refineries. Yeah. And Dangote's Blue Ship Company got the license for the Port Harcourt refinery. Yeah. Then when the former president, late President Umaru Yar'Adua came on board,
Nigerians they went to him and said that it's not a rocket science to, put a refinery back to life. So they revoked, to cut a long story short, they revoked that license from Dangote. And he said he felt so bad that in his bedroom he felt that, okay, he could on his own start a refinery. So it is a shame, if I want to just, use your word, that, anytime we hear government functionaries want to talk about slashing price of petrol and other products, other petroleum products, refer to this Dangote Refinery again. But by and large, we have it now, and it's a good thing, just like I said. Now to talk of whether it is going to slash the price. If the Nigerian government is able to get Dangote Refinery to supply the local market, because it's important that I make this, clear to Nigerians too. Dangote Refinery is situated on the free trade zone. Technically speaking, it is not on Nigerian soil, even though it is found within the Nigerian territory. So it is not under all obligation to supply the Nigerian market. That is number one. But because of the fact that, okay, he's a businessman, he will want to supply, look at the business dynamics and supply where he thinks he is going to get return on his investment. If Nigeria, looks that way, he's going to do that. Then, when we raise issue about Dangote Refinery being on the free trade zone, not being 100% liable to Nigeria, that is when, that was when the Nigerian National Petroleum, the government through Nigerian Petroleum acquired 20% in Dangote Refinery. So, it is going to, if you get Dangote to supply the local market, it is going to drastically drag down the price of petrol in Nigeria. But it's important that I raise this caveat. Dangote Refinery, what we can lay claim to in Dangote Refinery as Nigerians is just 20%. Remember, 80% is still, in the hands of those that are not Nigerian, that cannot. So it's important that we talk about that. But if we get 20% of that Dangote Refinery production, one thing we know is that anytime we talk about rise or the hike in the price of petrol, we talk about the landing cost. If production is being done in country, technically, we won't be talking about the landing cost. So whether we like it or not, it's going to affect, positively this time around the price of
So
petrol.
instead of us, exporting crude for refining, can't we now bring it back to him to perhaps begin to do that for us?
Okay, so it's beyond that. Okay, one thing we will understand about crude export production and export is that there is also international politics and diplomacy to it. It is not all the country that will supply crude oil that will just supply crude oil for the sake of supplying crude oil too. There are other underlying factors. That's number one. Then number two, Nigerian production, crude oil production and export, is done based on so many other reasons. Aside from the fact that, okay, we have a Nigerian that is producing. One of the reasons is that, the Port Harcourt Refinery, Refinery 1, the 60,000 barrels Port Harcourt Refinery that is being, they are working on now as we speak, is being financed through a loan of $1.5 billion. And $1 billion out of that was acquired or secured from the Afrexim Bank. In that negotiation, it was crude oil that we negotiated that we are going to use to return. So we have so many other obligations, you understand. But if we will be able to, have an agreement, then if we want to supply Dangote Refinery, the way crude oil production market, operates is that there's going to be, they will sit down on a table to talk terms before that would be done.
For your own crude?
Yes, for Nigerian crude. The Dangote Refinery, like I told you, is a private entity.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so if you want to supply crude oil to Dangote or anybody,
for him to refine,
he cannot refine for us because okay. I tell you, at the initial stage it was a $15 billion investment. Later it was raised to around 17. When they finished that, we had that it's around $19 billion. It was not Dangote that put that money on the table. He assessed that fund through other, external lenders, foreign lenders. One thing he has done before getting that loan is that he has signed to terms of when he's going to return that money. So the first major thing on the mind of Alhaji Aliko Dangote is to make sure that the fund he assessed, is able to repay. So what matters most now If we can, through arrangement with Nigeria, be able to get return on his investment, why not he would do that? But as a businessman, the first thing he would do is to make sure that any way he's able to get that return on investment, he will quickly go.
Now, why I ask the question is because experts are also, some experts believe that instead of us, exporting our crude for refining and then importing it back, that is costing us a lot, affecting our foreign exchange and all of it, why don't we just have that arrangement with Dangote?
Dangote.
That's what I'm saying.
Okay, thank you. Okay, to buttress what I've just said, Nigeria, based on its membership of OPEC, has what we call quota. OPEC usually give us, a production quota that, okay, please don't produce more than or export more than this into the OPEC market. Okay, aside from that, there are condensate. There are other production that we are done in country that we don't sell into the OPEC market. When the Nigerian forefathers, they had that foresight, after the discovery of crude oil in the country, they put up, 4 refineries with total capacity of 445,000 barrels of crude. And they had this arrangement that 445,000 barrels of crude oil produced every day, out of whatsoever production we have, 445,000 barrels of crude should be allocated to those refineries every day. So now, when those refineries, went into comatose, that was when Nigeria needed petrol. That was when the government then, went into this crude swap arrangement where they will have to take that 445,000 barrels through some middlemen at some point to refineries abroad. But later, the government didn't want us to call it a crude swap. They prefer that we call it the direct sale, direct purchase. But eventually, what we are still having is that swap arrangement. Now, that is just to buttress what I've just said. We can, instead of taking that outside of the country, refine it in Dangote. But like I said earlier, it is not that we are just going to tell Dangote that we are bringing this to you.
No, there has to be an arrangement.
Okay, so if that arrangement is in place, it's going to be a win-win for Nigeria and Dangote, because as production happens in a refinery, once they have started the production, it has to keep going. They cannot, except for a major turnaround maintenance, they shouldn't off, the plant. So it is anywhere Dangote is able to get that product, he will be very, very happy. Anywhere, if Nigeria is able to get Dangote to refine those, 445,000 that I said earlier, it's going to be a win-win for both Nigeria and Dangote.
Well, let's try to do some mathematics. It's just very interesting that we have to sell this crude oil to Dangote in dollars. Why don't we sell it in naira so that because if you look at the crude oil price hovering around $73, and then this translates to, if you now change it to about 90,000 naira per barrel, and a barrel will yield you 170 liters of refined oil. So if you now take 90,000 naira by 170, if you divide it rather by 170 liters, you get 530 liters, and that's to say the crude oil, the raw crude oil that comes to Dangote alone is about 530 naira per liter. So it means that on that average price, he will also want to make his profits. He will want to make gains. Just like you said, some of these monies are also, they are borrowed. It is not hurry yet for Nigerians when it comes to the price of petrol. So why don't we sell it to him in naira rather than dollars?
Okay, thank you so much. It's easy to do that arithmetic. This is just the way you have just done it. To even add to what you have just said, Nigerian crude oil is called sweet crude, at the global market. And the reason they call it sweet crude is that anytime they are refining it, it has that, very pleasant odor. It is a very light crude. God has blessed us not with oil alone. God has blessed us with the best specimen of oil, that anyone can think of. So that is to add to the fact that, okay, any arrangement, anywhere we are able to get that arrangement is good. Now to talk about what you have just said now, it is going to be something that, aside from the fact that crude oil is traded and valued with dollars globally, if Nigerian government has that arrangement with Dangote, and they're able to, the lawyers of both parties, are able to come up with, that as part of the variables they want to consider, so be it. It's going to be good for Dangote. I don't know whether it's going to be good for Nigeria, But by and large, Dangote is a Nigerian. Forbes released his latest, billionaires list. And, anywhere you read about Dangote, you have to read about Nigeria.
My worry is about the forex of it. Because we don't have enough dollars. And then we have this thing in abundance. Why do we have to just bring in the dollar, to sell to Dangote? That's just my worry, and I feel not...
Okay. So if you are selling to Dangote, we are not the one putting the dollar on the table. It's Dangote that is buying that will put the dollar on the table. I think you get that correctly. Yeah. So it is not our loss that we want to...
looking for dollars, every...
To pay off.
You understand? You have to be looking for dollars. And we know how
So it's now interest.
Okay, so if you want to reconsider it, because it's just, that was why I said earlier that it's beyond the way we look at it. Then if you want to look at it, Nigeria is in need of dollars. We have those that want to pay in dollars. We have someone that you are now saying we should sell in Naira, and we are in need of dollars. So it is going to be, they're going to put all the variables on the table, you understand? Just like I said, I don't think Dangote will go against even that venture to buy in dollars. You understand? Like I said earlier, he is the richest in Africa, just like, Vob has alluded to recently. And the refinery is about close to $20 billion investment. It's an investment that he was able to accrue dollars from everywhere. I don't think getting dollars, one man that was able to get about $20 billion, I don't think getting dollars to buy Nigerian crude oil, how much will be a problem. But just like I said earlier, if there is that arrangement, in business, there is that give and take. There is that give and take. Once you are able to table everything and you are able to see clearly that this thing is going to be favorable to your business, I think, all businessmen will jump at, any offer that has that characteristic.
So there's this story that marketers are awaiting his product price list, and I'm wondering what you feel will determine the product price for Dangote as it is. Okay,
the costs of the cost of production, basically, and what is going to determine the cost of production will be how much he was able to get crude, the crude oil that he's going to use. That is number one. Then number two, in the petroleum marketing, value chain, that's what we call the freight, margin. And that one simply means that, okay, how much is able to take the product from its jetty, because whether we like it or not, if Nigeria is supplying Dangote, Nigeria is not going to supply Dangote through a pipeline.
Right.
Okay, so Nigeria is going to ferry the product to the jetty, and Dangote will have to take the product through his pipeline from his jetty down to the so that asset too, there will be a cost on that and all that. So all those ones will determine how much is going to sell for those marketers. But I tell you, if a marketer wants to get from Dangote, there is no way to be higher, except there is something that we do not understand that will come up eventually. There is no way it's going to be higher than how much he will get it outside of the country.
So Dangote Refinery, really coming to life, and then Nigerians are still excited, even though we are not sure how it's going to affect the price at the end of the day. So what more complementary roles would it play? Because we'll now be asking, so what are the derivable benefits for the common masses on the street? We have the Petrol Refinery, which first phase had been completed, and other refineries that are also being planned to come up stream towards the end of the year. So what is the overall big goal for Nigeria or Nigerians on the street? Okay,
thank you so much. The first one is the employment opportunity. As we speak, even though that refinery is not going to meet up with the 650,000 peak production capacity, as we speak, Nigerians in thousands are working on that facility. And the more production capacity attains, the more will be the need to employ Nigerians. That's number one. Number two, Dangote is under obligation. I heard the last time that is already supplying, because when you are doing production in a refinery, there is that production or generation of electricity too. Even though it may not be at commercial, because a refinery will generate its electricity. So I heard that Dangote is planning, or he has started, supplying, the host community. Then the supply is not going to be, it's likely going to be free of charge. Then even if the money is to be paid, there will going to be a drastic reduction in that. That's number two. Then number three, there is no way Dangote Refinery will start production and we are able to get the Dangote Refinery to supply the local market that will not affect the price of petrol. And we all understand, how much role price of petrol plays in the overall economic value chain in the country. The transport fare, the cost of this and that, and everything. So the Dangote Refineries, if we get it to produce and supply the local market, would drastically affect that. Then the third one, we have to be the economy of the country. We all understand how the economy of Nigeria is intertwined with petrol. So then the third one would be the benefit that small-scale industries will get. We all know that electricity supply is not sufficient anywhere in the country. Then because of this, a lot of small-scale industries, a lot of those that are participating in that depend on the I better pass my neighbor. So if they get the price of petrol at a lower price, I think it's going to affect them and affect even those that are seeking services from them. So in looking at it head and tail, it's something that is good and would definitely affect the country. Like I said earlier, it's important that we raise that caveat. It's only 20% that Nigeria has in Dangote Refinery. So that we don't start blaming the man that, okay, that man has started production now, so we are still buying the product as
so then what would you advise the Nigerian government to do so that such that it will be in the best interest of Nigerians? We've mentioned so many things here now. So what would you expect the federal government to do as a way of taking advantage of Dangote's refinery now, producing, and then they are looking at the best interest of Nigeria at heart? Thank you very much. I love that question. The first thing, Nigeria has 20% in Dangote Refinery. The first thing the government should do, it has started, on that track, is to create competition for Dangote Refinery. Oh. We have refineries in total capacity of 445,000. All of our refineries, 445,000, if they are working. Only Dangote Refinery, 650,000. So if we have, and we usually say now in the business world that the new currency, yes. So Dangote Refinery should get that competition from the Nigerian government by making sure that they put the refineries in place. And what competition does is to crash the price. Right. So that's number one. Then number two, there is, whether we like it or not, there should be a collaboration with Dangote Refinery. We say it as well in the business parlance that the new competition now is collaboration. So there is no way Dangote Refinery will succeed that it won't, affect the success of Nigeria. So create competition, ensure collaboration, and you see how that is going to affect Nigerians positively.
So I want you to weigh in on this, this quiz, which Nigerians are saying, because when the president, the first speech he gave when he was sworn in was that fuel subsidy is gone. And others are arguing that the reason why petrol is now selling for between 620 to 670 per litre today is because the NNPC is subsidizing it. Do you agree to that?
Okay. Let me lay a foundation.
Because if you look at the prices of other countries that even have refineries, it's way more. So they expect that Nigerians should even pay more than what we pay currently. So the reason why we are not paying that much more is because of subsidy.
Okay. Whether we like it or not, something is happening. The IMF alluded to that. The World Bank alluded to that. They put the arithmetic on the table. This is the price of the product, the real price of the product. Some of them mention as much as 950 naira per litre, the real price.
So if you want to,
okay. So those are on the table. Right. And the NNPC has said that, okay, what they are trying to do, up till now, NNPC is still the major importer of this product. And what they are saying is that what they are doing is to augment, to make sure that they do a lot of things to balance before the Nigerian refineries, Petrol refinery will come on board and other refineries come on board and things will normalize. But whether we like it or not, things are going on to make sure that there is stability in the price.
We can't call it a name.
Of course, it will be subsidy.
Right.
It will be subsidy.
I wanted you to call it a name.
Okay. Thank you. You usually put me on the
Maybe not subsidy, maybe intervention.
Perhaps.
Maybe not subsidy, maybe intervention.
Right.
Whatsoever. Most times, you understand English better than I do. I have to call it.
It has got to that now. We understand it.
I have to.
When you speak English.
I have to call it the general name so that whosoever, belongs to whosoever angle we want to, we use a name. Something is happening.
So are we invariably saying some of the profits that NNPCL has said it has made over time as a result of the removal of the said subsidy that you say something is now happening is false?
Okay, so now let me restructure that. Okay.
With English language.
Yes. The Nigerian government has always said that they have been able to save so amounts. The president said
because they are not paying subsidy as they used to.
As they
okay.
As they claim.
So now to restructure that question, is there a bank account somewhere where 1 trillion naira is saved because you are not paying subsidy? No. Okay? Because, most times the Dangote Refinery, the way, those of you that understand English very, very well, you know how to, bamboozle us that do not understand English. You understand? But fact of the matter is that there is no money saved anywhere because we are not paying subsidy. The only, the use of that save in that context, we want to contextualize it, is that we are not borrowing money again to pay. It's as simple as that.
But
so the government will not. Yes, but the government will not tell you that we have not been able to. We have not borrowed up to this amount to pay because we are paying subsidy. They will say we have saved so amount of money. So it's important that we clear that as well as we have cleared, the English on subsidy.
We'll leave the conversation here. Adiola Yusuf, team lead of Platforms Africa. Thank you for your time.
My pleasure always. Thank you.
Thank you.